Hi, I'm Aimee, and today we're talking about family search and fixing those relationships that sometimes drive us a little crazy. As we're building our family tree on Family Search, sometimes we find things that are not as they should be. I've had some requests to do this video, and I know that it's sometimes hard to fix family search relationships. And let me start by saying that really, if you're playing around, you want to be playing around in your own personal genealogy program or on like a site like Ancestry, because it's kind of difficult sometimes to fix some of these on Family Search and it confuses people. So you don't need to be afraid, and I'm going to show you how to do it. But I would recommend that you exercise caution in doing things before you really know that they should be done. At the end of the video, I'm going to put a Family Search playlist so that you can see some of the other videos that I have done that maybe have helped you in regards to Family Search. But I love the platform. It's free. It's a great place to work with families. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we see and when we're trying to fix relationships in Family Search. I've opened up a couple of individuals that kind of illustrate some different things that can happen in relationships on Family Search. Let's first go to Bryant W. Willis. And this is a very common thing that you'll see on Family Search. You see him, I'm going down to his spouses and children, and we see him with his wife, Lucy Marshall, and they didn't have any children. They were married in 1907. But then in 1910, he married Maud Saraya Hammond. And so Lucy probably died. Now, this is actually my husband's side of the tree, so I haven't done any research on Lucy, but that would be a good thing to do. Anyway, so let's look at her children, and this is a really common problem that you see. Here we have a child, Earl, Leela, who was my husband's grandmother. I love that woman. And then we have Benjamin J. Willis Sr., a Benjamin Willis, same birth date, different ID numbers. And then we have Bryant, and then we have Bryant again. So how do these things happen in Family Search, and what do we do to fix them? Now, part of the reason that they happen in Family Search is when there's somebody that is living, they are not available for everybody else to see. It's part of a collaborative tree. So what I would do here is I would merge these individuals. I wouldn't delete them from the family tree. I would just merge these individuals. And I have another video on merging, and so you can check that out. But so that's the first thing that I would do in dealing with these families. When you merge the individuals, and this is of course after double checking, making sure that they truly are the same person, you want to merge them together, and then it's going to solve the problem in the family tree. That's my first scenario. I want to use Ammon Hammond as my second example because he has a lot of marriages. And I want to show that in this instance, these marriages appear to be correct. This is my husband's line again. Anyway, it gives me some good examples. So Ammon married Rhoda Taylor in 1845, and she died the same year. Then he married Sarah Gould in 1847, and she died just 20 years later. In 1867, they had 4 children. Then he married Charlotte Nickerson, and he married her in 1868, and they have no known children. She died in 1874, so they were only married for about 6 years. Then in 1876, he married Adeline Eldridge, and they had 1 child. It's this 1 child that I want to show you about. So when I click on that, we see that they had an adoptive child, Benjamin Hammond. Now this stuff happened a lot. You would oftentimes see children born to one parent and then another father take them in. And we probably won't find official adoption papers because it was done before anybody kept track of these things. Usually the only time I would find adoption papers from an early time period like this is if the child had property, then sometimes that might be mentioned in a deed or in some kind of legal record so that the transfer of that property was noted, that it was now in such and such a name. But you can put adoptive children on Family Search, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. So let me show you. So you go right here to this pencil, and you can edit the parents of Benjamin. It's here that you would remove a father or remove a mother, and I'm going to get into that in detail later, but I just want to show you that right here, you can change the relationship to the child. And this says that Adeline is his biological mother, but Ammon is his adoptive father. And all you have to do is, like, if she were not the biological mother, I could click this. I could change it to adoptive, foster, guardian, stepchild, and then I would want to put in some kind of reason why that information is correct. Now, in the instance of Aimee, here somebody put in that he was the adoptive father. If we had the adopted date, like later in time when we know these things better, then you could put that information and the reason that that's correct. And I like this because now if I go to Benjamin, let me open up his page. And let's look at his relationships. We see that he was the son of Benjamin Young and Adeline Aldridge, and Benjamin died in 1869 when Benjamin Hammond was only 9 years old. And then Benjamin took on the name of his stepfather, Ammon Hammond, who then married his mother. And he went by the name of Hammond thereafter. So that shows you the information that's here. And here you can see that the adoptive words aren't used here when you see parents and siblings, but they are used here as the child, adoptive, of this couple, okay? So that's how you want to change that kind of relationship. All right, so now we're going to move on to another individual, William Paston. I want to point out here, he was married to Anne Buttle in 1801 in England, and notice that her FamilySearch ID, I'm just going to say ends in 2W4. And they had 7 children. And then you see him married again to another Anne Buttle, no marriage events. That's a different FamilySearch ID number. And they had a child, Anne Preston. This happens frequently. Her ID number is PF3. You'll see Anne Paston right here, totally different ID number, born in 1805. Just like this Anne was born in. So this is a case of merging again, and it will solve itself. So in the interest of time, I just want to fix this really quick and then show you how it looks. Later on in the video, I'm going to go through kind of handling a similar situation and kind of go through the steps in more detail. I want to note here, as I'm in the process of making these changes, my first step, like I mentioned, is to merge duplicates. So I started with the children, Anne, first. And FamilySearch has already identified the possible duplicate. And if you look at this number, 2Z5, that's the same as this person right here. So FamilySearch has already noted that this is a problem. So if I click on this, I can review the merge. And I want to have the surviving person be this Anne Paston because she's the one that has the correct information. And if you'll note here, this happens a lot too. The reason this happened was because the christening record of Anne was found and she was probably listed as Preston. But her birth was actually the 18th of June. She was christened on the 24th. That's the differences in her birth dates, okay? So this is the same person. And so we're just gonna go down here and continue. And I'm going to speed everything up and take care of it and finish taking care of this relationship. So now to just show you the steps, I'm going to refresh William's page. I've only changed his daughter. And when you see William, you'll see William with Anne Buttle. You'll see all of these children. And then you'll see him with this Anne Buttle. And we still have Anne in here. But you'll note that the ID numbers are now the same. So now to totally fix this, I need to merge these two Anne Buttles, the moms. So, and I don't want to take her out of a relationship or anything like that. That's not the way to handle it. You want to merge the people because it cleans up the tree. Now, if you'll note here, this is the Anne Buttle I want to keep, 2W4. The other Anne Buttle is PFC. And you'll note this is the same scenario. Here we see that Anne Buttle, and they even have other possible duplicates, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but this is the one that's in the tree right now that's incorrect. So I'm going to click on that, review that merge, go through the same process. I'd also like to note here that here we had a merge warning. The surviving person, which is the one that I want to be surviving, has been merged several times before. Use extra care when determining that these two people are the same person. I like that FamilySearch is doing this now. It makes you kind of look at things. But if you look and see what I have here, you see that this is the same person. So now when I refresh William Paston and go down to his relationships, you'll see he's married to Anne Buttle. You'll see his 7 children, and the other marriage has disappeared. That's done. Totally taken care of. That is the easiest way to fix those types of situations when they were done in error. For my next example, I want to use Agnes Hannah Lecheminot. You'll see that she was married to John Lawrence Smulders Bills in 1910, and they had these 7 children. And you'll notice that the youngest was Mary LeRae Bills, born in 1926. And then you see that Agnes married Hyde Wills, who, that was her husband, passed away prior to that date. He died in 1933. So her children were pretty young. And so in 1941, she married Hyde. They had no children. But then you see this other relationship here. You see Mary LeRae Bills, but this is a different ID number than the one right here. So again, we have the same situation that this person needs to be merged. Now she's living in this instance, and so that's part of the problem. And then we have this other father that's living. Now both of her husbands were born in 1889, but because that Mary was the daughter of John, I'm assuming the question mark guy is John. So I opened up this question mark guy, which this is so weird. I don't know why somebody did this, but his name is question mark. But he was born on the 13th of September, 1889. And the source is an old, a source that this is somebody that a family genealogy that they put in before FamilySearch even existed. That's what that means. Once they built the family tree, they took all of the genealogies that they had submitted to them over the years, and they put that into the tree. That's kind of where that information comes from. So I want to go back to this John, and I want to take a look at him. He was born the 13th of September, 1889 in Milwaukee. That is exactly the same as Mr. Question Mark guy. So what I want to do first is I want to merge these Johns in these instances. So I am going to go back to the details page because that gives me everything that I want. And it says that he has invalid characters and the person's too old to still be living, all of these things. All that's going to be fixed. Now, in this instance, I don't have a recommended merge. I'm going to go down here to merge by ID, and I need the ID. So I'm going to go back to the correct John, and I just hover over his ID and it says ID copied. And then I'm going to merge him. Just paste that right there and continue. A living person cannot be merged with a deceased person. All right, so how do we fix that? So we're going to go back now, and we're going to go to this guy right here, and I need to change him. Go into his vitals, and I'm going to change this death. I'm going to change him to deceased. Save. I'm not even going to write the reason because I'm merging them. And now I'm going to go back down here, and I'm going to not do possible duplicates. I'm going to merge by ID. I'm going to type in that ID again, go back to the merging, and now I can do that. So here we have John Bills, right birth date, all that information, same wife. If you see the spouse ID is exactly the same. This children ID is not the same. This Mary is different. I'm going to have to deal with that in a minute, but that's okay. We're going to fix that in a minute. So I'm going to hit yes, continue. And then it's another little thing, and you can look at all of this, and it's adding this child right here. Here, I don't want to undo that. And the reason I don't want to undo that is I don't want her to disappear. I want to be able to find her again so I can fix it, right? That's a big mistake to undo that. You want to fix it. You don't want to leave these things hanging. So now if I refresh Agnes, she's the one that had the multiple husbands, I want to go down here, and I see her John, and I see her kids, and I see her second husband, but I don't see the question mark guy anymore. I don't see any of that. But I do see the two Marys. Woohoo, that's what I wanted. So now I need to go through the process of changing this Mary from living, because see, she's living. I need to make sure that she's listed as deceased, and then I want to merge her with the other Mary. Voila, I'm done. All right, so one other example that I want to provide for you that I think can be sometimes intimidating to people is whether or not a child belongs in a different marital relationship. And that can happen because you might find a child underneath a mother in a census record, but then later on you figure out that that mother married the child's father after their birth. And so that child belonged in a previous marriage. And while I don't have an example for that right now, I wish I did, but I don't have an example for that right now. I want to show you really quickly how to do that so that you can fix it too. So let's say I have Earl Hammond Willis. Let's say he was born in the previous marriage. Now, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to undo it, but I'm going to edit the parents of Earl, and I'm going to remove or replace a father or mother for Earl. This is the place to do this. So I could click remove or replace. So I can either remove the father from the relationship and have Earl be the son of an unknown father or mother, or I can replace the father, but I can't do that right here. So I need to scroll down a little bit further and click that I have reviewed the relationship sources and notes, and then I can click on either replace or remove. If I were to replace the father, I would need to either replace by name or by ID number and put that in there and then give the next information. So that's one way that you can fix those different parents. Alternately, if I want to totally remove a child from both parents, that's more difficult to do them both separately. I can remove or replace the child from both of them. That's where I would want to do this. If I click on this, I'm removing both parents, or I can replace them. Again, I have to state that I've reviewed. So if you have a child that was put with the wrong parents and you need to put them with somebody else, that's how you would do that. So let me review that for you really quickly. If you want to if you want to change a child either from one of the parents or both of the parents, you're going to go to the little edit pencil thing next to the child. And then if it's one parent, you're going to select the parent. If it's both parents, you're going to select the child down here. Okay, got it? Let's say you have something in a marital relationship. You have somebody that's married to somebody that they shouldn't be there. You'll click this marriage icon, this marriage pencil right here. Now I can remove, because I am in Bryant Willis's page, I can only remove or replace his wife. If I were in his wife's page, this would be on the other side, okay? So I can change events, I can add events. If I have a marriage date, I can add that, or I can take one off if it's incorrect. I can do that right here very easily. I can add a fact or sources to this marriage, or I can just delete the relationship right here totally. So I think it's kind of easier to remove or replace, but you can just delete the relationship as well. And then that would delete the couple relationship. And so, but just FYI, if they have children, both people are still going to show up with that child. So you'll need to manually go in and change the children as well. I hope that makes sense. One more thing that I want to point out, I'm going to use Benjamin Hammond as an example. If you scroll down here and you're looking at their relationships, and by the way, right up here, you can show all family members, and then that will just pop open all children if there's multiple relationships, by the way. But you can add a spouse here, and you can either add them by ID number or by name, and then they'll search for anybody else in the tree by that name. Or you can add a child with an unknown mother. So if you have a child and you know that you don't have the right mother, you can add them directly this way if they have not already been added into the tree. So those are two things that I think are important to know as well. I know this is difficult, and if you have any questions, please be sure to put them in the comments and I'll try to address them, because this can be really confusing for people, and I understand how frustrating it could be. I have a section of video now that I actually filmed, probably a month ago while I was working on a project for a client, and I ran into some of these issues. And this was kind of more the discovery process of what I found and what I knew and how I needed to fix it. And I'm going to roll that now because that will show you more kind of the line of reasoning of examining these relationships. And the reason that this all came to be was because I came across the Bible record of the family, and it clarified some information that had been previously uploaded. In one instance, there are 3 children that should be merged, but in another instance, there was a boy and a girl that were really the same person. So to see all that, check this out. So here's Asa French. I have come across his Bible. I actually think it was a Bible that might have been passed to his youngest son because of the way that the names have been written in the Bible. I know that some of these relationships are wrong on FamilySearch. So let's look at this. Now, it appears that he was married first, and I haven't done a lot of research on his first wife. And given his age, I know he married Hannah Davis in 1820, and she was quite a bit younger than he was. She was 20 years younger than he was. And I have that marriage record, and I know that's true. And now I have the Bible record, and it lists all of their children, including children that passed away before. So you have a problem here because in the Bible record, and let me throw that up here for you for a minute, that you can take a look at that. You can see that they've listed every family member. And so we know when Asa was born, we know when his wife Hannah was born, And then they list their children, including children that died. And they have an infant son here that was born in 1831. So we have on FamilySearch, we have this Priscilla French, who was born at the same time as Sarah French. Now, Sarah French was born in 1825 on June 25th. And that's what her FamilySearch tree says. And her dad did reside in Troy, Miami, Ohio at the time. So Sarah is right. But Priscilla is not. And so Priscilla is a problem because FamilySearch isn't going to let me delete her. And so what do you do when you have somebody in the tree that doesn't belong? And let's take a look at her really quick and I'll tell you about her. So Priscilla, you have a birth of about 1825 in Ohio. I have no idea how her information got in here. There are no sources. We only have her parents and siblings. She was not married and has no children, according to this. And then when we see the changes, let me show all, we see that FamilySearch kind of put her in here. And I don't really know why. There's no proof for it. I don't know why they put her in there. That doesn't make any sense to me. There was no record that directed them to do that, so no clue. So these things happen sometimes. So, and this goes against too, like if you look at Asa in the 1820 and the 1830 census, and you look at the people in his household, and they match up to the children on this Bible record. So what do you do? What do you do in a situation like this? If you go down here, if I want to delete person, it'll show you why can't I delete the person, and it'll tell you that you can change relationships. You can do lots of other things, but you can't delete the person. The other thing that you could do is I could merge her. I could merge her with Sarah because really this is Sarah. So it's kind of a choice. I can either merge her with Sarah or I can just delete her from her parents. And it's kind of a, it's kind of a whatever. If I delete her from her parents, she's going to be floating around in the tree and FamilySearch might put her back in there again. I'm trying to think what the right thing is to do here. So I can remove her. I can put in a reason for this and I can remove her. And then she'd be floating around the tree, or I can merge her with Sarah. I'm really torn. I'm not quite sure what the right thing would be to do, and maybe FamilySearch has some suggestions. So if somebody from FamilySearch is watching this video, add a comment to it. I don't have any idea where FamilySearch got her name. And so usually if they've done anything with her, there'd be some kind of source, but there's no source for this woman. There's no information for her. So I have no idea where she came from. But because of that, because she must have come from somewhere, I just don't know where. I'm hesitant to merge her with Sarah because maybe she does belong with other parents. And so I'm going to go ahead and remove her from her parents and let her float around in the tree. And that really bothers me, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But I need to make this very clear so that anybody that finds her knows that her father is not Asa. Well, her mother is not Hannah Davis, and her father is not believed to be Asa because of the date of her birth. And so I'm going to write all of this into the family tree, into my reason. Now I moved this down so that I could see his ID number. That's why I moved that page down. All right, so now poor Priscilla is floating around in the tree without any parents. And I'm sorry, Priscilla. Now, if I refresh this page, you'll see that she is no longer a child of Asa and Hannah. We see their son Asa, daughter Hannah, daughter Sarah, which is exactly what we should see. All right, so now as I continue to compare the record, I see Eli and Cynthia, and then I see two French boys that were born in 1833, boys that were born in 1831. Now, the Family Bible has an infant son born on the 10th of March, 1831. These are all duplicates. So I need to fix these as well. Before I go do that, let's check the rest of the tree. So we have Moses F, which is according to the family tree or the Family Bible, William, James, Silas, Michael, Michelle is not in there as well. So Michelle and Michael were likely messed up, and Joseph. So Michelle and Michael are incorrect, and then these three boys are incorrect. I'm opening her up in a new page so that it's easy for me to compare all this stuff, and I'm going to do the same with Michael. I'm going to open him up in a new page.
A great deal of comparison was made between Michael and Michelle.
Michael had only one source attached to him, and Michelle had many sources, as well as a husband and family and things like that. As additional research was conducted, it was determined that the reason for the mistake were the census records. If you notice right here, 20 years old, it had F, and then that was erased and they put a male. So if I look at the record in 1850, we have Silas, which this goes along with the family Bible. We have Silas, and then we have Micah, and then we have Joseph. And right here, you can see it's kind of messed up again. It looks like it was an F, and then they weren't sure. All right, so the family Bible states that Michael Cochran, and again, it spells it the same way, M-I-C-H-E-A-L, like Michelle, okay? Or, it depends on how you read it, right? When we write Michael today, it's different. But I do believe this is Michelle who married Cochran, and it says that she died in November 30th, 18, and it doesn't finish it. And we know that she died November 30th, 1882. So that corresponds also with the family Bible. So everything's adding up to the fact that this is a she, and Michael doesn't belong in the family tree. So how do I fix this? This is a good one to fix. All right, so I'm going to go into Michael. I'm going to go to his details. In this instance, I want to merge him because I don't want him to disappear and go out into the thing because he shouldn't be, all right? So I need to change some sexes because also we have him marrying a Cochran and a Cochran, and that doesn't belong either. That person should be merged with Andrew Cochran, Michelle's husband. So I'm going to do that first, actually. Let me take a look at her and get her taken care of. So the first thing, in order to merge two people, I need to make their sex the same. So this is really a male, right? Married to Michelle. So I'm going to say that this is a male. And all right. So I finished that. I'm going to save that. That's the first thing that I need to do. So now I can merge. So go to the correct Michelle. I need to find her husband's ID number. So that I get these guys mixed up, so I'm going to just click on that, and it's going to copy the ID number, as you can see right here. So now I'm going to take this Cochran, and I'm going to merge him with the correct person. All right, so I want the surviving person. I talked about this in my merge video, but I want the surviving person to be Andrew Cochran, because he's got all the information and he's correct. And then there's less stuff that I need to deal with. And I'm not worried about this spouse that's over here because I'm going to fix it in a minute. And we can see this marriage is the same date right here, right? So this is the same, right? All of this was the same. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say, yes, continue. They went ahead and moved that one over, but that's fine. I'm not going to copy any of their information. If you want to see more how to do merges, watch my video. I'm going to put a link up to that right now. And then I'm going to add this little thing right here so that it quickly added in those ID numbers for me. And I'm going to finish the merge. All right, so took care of step one. This is never easy. This is why if you want to play on Ancestry. Don't play on FamilySearch. All right, so if I go back to Andrew Cochran, we can see now that he was deleted and the surviving person was Andrew, which is all great. We wanted that to happen. And so now I need to go to Michelle, and now I've got to merge Michelle and Michael, okay? I've got to go through the same process. First, I need to change the sex. I'm going to go ahead and attach the family Bible to her because not only does it list the birth, but it also lists her death. And I want to merge by ID. And then I'm going to put that duplicate ID in there and continue. And now you can see that I have the Michael French and the Michelle French, and this is the surviving person as it should be. Again, all of our information is correct, and we're going to get this all fixed. So I'm going to say yes, continue. So now I have Michelle French listed appropriately with her parents. And I'm going to go back here. We see the two. I'm going to refresh this page. And now I'm going to see the correct information for the children of Asa and Hannah. And now we just have the Michelle, okay, French. All right. So I still have the issue with these 3 boys that did not belong there. And so I'm going to go ahead and fix those, and I'm going to be merging those the same way because I could take them out of the tree and I could delete them, but they don't belong deleted. They belong with him. So That's my next order of business. I hope this example and the other information that I gave you in the beginning was helpful. Like I said before, if I haven't explained something that you need explained to you, please be sure to put that in the comments and I'll try to explain. I'd also like to point out that there's this little help button right here. And if you're having some problems, FamilySearch has a great community where you can search for a particular article or lesson, or you can even contact them. And they have people that are serving voluntarily to assist you in things like this. And just click on contact and they will, you select from what country that you are and go through their process, and they can help you as well. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Over here is my playlist that has the FamilySearch videos that I was talking about, as well as another video that may be of interest to you. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if this video is helpful for you, please give it a like. It lets YouTube know that this is good content. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a link in the description, and I have a couple of different levels of support that you can do if you're interested. And I sure appreciate it. I really hope you have a great day. Thanks.